upon my door. Early this morning, when you knocked upon my door, and I say, hello Satan, I believe it is time to go. Me and the devil walking side by side. Me and the devil walking side by side.
Darnold plays back.
And I'm gonna
Smith and Jigba.
till I get satisfied.
Darnold throws. Caught for the 2 points. Eric Sauber.
You don't see why, and you dog me around. Say, don't see why people dog me around. It must be that old evil spirit so deep down in your ground. You may bury my body down by the highway side. You may bury my body down by the highway side. So my old evil spirit, Greyhound, bust that ride. So my old evil spirit, Greyhound, bust that ride.
Greetings and good evening, and welcome to the Roundtable, ladies and gentlemen. Today is Friday, January 23rd, 2026. Bonsoir, comment ça va? And I'm Drew. Welcome to Championship Weekend, ladies and gentlemen. That was one heck of an intro, Jordan. Shout out to Lyman Up Media. Y'all continue to do phenomenal work. For those of us that are football fans, that type of intro, that type of motivational video is something that teams, organizations at every level use to inspire, to motivate, to get the juices flowing, so to speak, either right before a game or as we are going into a huge game in our season. And they get no bigger than this weekend for both the AFC and the NFC. The 4 best teams, maybe. The 4 remaining teams definitely are going to lock horns. And as Troy coined the phrase on Tuesday night, there shall be some pads popping this weekend because we're going to have 2 phenomenal games. A very heartfelt shout out to everybody that is joining us tonight during tonight's episode, wherever you are in this world. It is my heartfelt prayer and hope that you are safe, that you are healthy, that you are in an environment that you can relax, relate, and release, and just talk good football. Griff, happy blessed Friday evening to you, my man. Championship weekend is upon us. That lets us know that the season is coming to a culmination. We have some big games this weekend. How are we doing first and foremost? And how are things down there in Tejas on this Friday night?
Hey man, everything is good down here in Texas, man. I see you dressed for the weather up there, man. We got a chance to spend some time with wifey today. We preparing. We supposed to get some weather, more so northern Texas is supposed to get the blunt of it. But I did go out there and test that generator like a good soldier just to make sure it's running, just in case. I was here when I first retired, man. I was here for that freeze here in Texas where we was without power for like 36 hours. And I said, never again. Won't get you got me this time, but you won't get me next time. So all is well on this end, brother.
Good deal, man. And yes, sir, a vast majority of the company is going to be experiencing a blizzard like storm where you're going to get a whole lot of snow, a whole lot of freezing temperature, ice, freezing rain. So please adhere to whatever the guidance is from your Department of Motor Vehicles and whatever, not motor vehicles, Department of Transportation in whatever state that you reside in, because this storm is going to affect a vast number of people, well over 100 plus million people all along the eastern seaboard. That's going to get a whole boatload of snow starting tonight, tomorrow afternoon, and going into Monday evening. And then you have the aftermath. So first and foremost, stay healthy, stay warm, be considerate of others. And depending on where you are in the country, dealing with other activities that are happening in your neighborhood, continue to keep your head on a swivel. But on this Friday night, Griff, let us get into some football, my man. We talk about conference championships, and we work our entire year to get an opportunity to compete for our conference title and to represent our conference in the Super Bowl, culminating a successful season for 32 teams. Only 28 teams, well, not only 28 teams, 28 teams were unfortunate in to where they could not get to where these four teams are, right? And whether or not this was something that was predicted weeks ago based on how these four teams performed during the regular season or the second half of the regular season, and this was inevitable that they meet each other in their respective conference title game. We got some good games, even though it's only two, lined up this weekend, starting with the New England Patriots, who last year were 4-13, ladies and gentlemen, 4-13. This year, complete turnaround, 14-3. They won their division in the AFC East, ending the Buffalo Bills' 5-year run of titles in that division, and were just that close to claiming the number one overall seed. But on the opposite side of the field, you have the exact same 14-3 Denver Broncos, number one overall seed, hosting the AFC title game with a backup quarterback who has been in the league for probably 5-6 years, but has all the four starts under his belt. Griff, what does Sean Payton need to do? What kind of rabbit does he need to pull out of his hat, if he needs to pull a rabbit out of his hat? Or we're making too much about Jarrett Stidham and his lack of experience. What does Denver need to do offensively to ensure that heading into the fourth quarter, not only are we being competitive at home, but quite possibly in the lead and with a chance to win this game, in your opinion?
And my opinion is, I my opinion is that hey, the offense ain't really what got Denver here in the first place. I don't think that they're gonna put too much on Stenham, because Bo Nix has been up and down. Most of the Denver Bronco fan base really was upset with him all season and said that he wasn't a quality quarterback. And then when he got hurt, then all of a sudden it's like, oh man, we need Bo Nix. What we gonna do with Stenham? Sean Payton been here before. As you know, that's your coach, man. He been here before. And I don't think he's gonna put Stenham in a bad situation where he has to win the game. Stenham just don't need to do anything to help them lose the game by turnovers and stuff like that. I think he's gonna have a heavy dose of trying to establish a running game as well as short passes to the tight ends and underneath to the receivers. I think defense wise is what got to win this game for the Broncos.
If I am Mike Grable, I'm taking that very same logic and say, well, I know Sean is probably going to rely heavy on the run because of Stenham's lack of experience and just being tossed into the fray, so to speak. So I'm going to ensure that my run stop defense is not only on point, but I'm going to apply or implement some run blitzes disguised as maybe cover two, maybe zone, but ensuring that that safety or that corner or that linebacker is coming to fill that gap. But I know Sean Payton, as you mentioned, right? And for the lack of experience that Stidham has, for the I won't even involve the fan base and the decision making, but if Stidham has an arm, even though it's not tested, even though it's not proven, that is not going to keep Sean Payton from being as aggressive in the passing game as we would think that he would be with his starting quarterback. Sean Payton has a habit of ensuring that his backups kind of mimic his starter so that we do have the ability to pull next man up historically, right? Drew Brees' backups always had the same type of playing style, same type of approach, and were relatively successful in Peyton's offense when they had that opportunity to put more than a quarter worth of work in. So I would not think that we will have a huge drop off from the Denver Broncos on the offensive side. For the New England Patriots, you believe that, well, is it just we're going to put it on the shoulders of our MVP candidate, Drake May, to lead us to the promised land now that we have a slight advantage, if you want to look at it that way? Or are we going to hang our hat on what got us here offensively, which is the run game? But remember this, Griff, they averaged 28 points a game. Second leading scoring team in the league. How does the New England offense take advantage of an overly aggressive Denver defense to compensate for what you may believe that the Denver offense is lacking? What approach should the New England Patriots offense take to be successful?
I mean, I know you don't give Drake May his just due. You say he don't do much, but he does enough, man. With the talent that he got on that offense with Diggs, with Henry, Butte, he been doing pretty good on it. And Douglas over there on the offense side of the ball, he know how to get the ball to those guys. And actually, under pressure, which I know that Denver is going to try to do, they're going to try to put some heat on him. They watched the Texan game and seen that he was somewhat rattled in that game by the pressure from Will Anderson and whatever. But they're gonna have a mix of running pass. That's what got New England now all year. He can get the ball to those receivers like Stephon Diggs, and the guy's pretty good. And he has the ability to run. He has the ability to utilize his legs too. And with Stevenson and Trey Henderson, I mean, he didn't have a great game last week, but I expect to see that combination being able to do. You got to remember that Denver gave up about 30 points to Buffalo last week. So as good as that defense is, and sometimes teams have other teams' numbers. I think they're gonna continue to do what they do, man. If I'm Denver, like I said, the defense has to win the game to beat New England. And so I can see some schemes where they will be trying to come at him, but the kid is like one of the top quarterbacks under the Blitz this year.
See, that is a huge difference maker for me, right? And you went down the playmaker roster that is at Drake May's disposal with Stephon Diggs, with Booty, with Henry, with those two backs coming out of the backfield if we incorporate them into the passing game. Not even including the escapability that Drake May has, his size, his speed, his body build. So he can definitely have an impact in the running game as well against a Denver defense that is going to be aggressive to compensate for what they perceive may be lacking on the defensive or the offensive side of the ball. So I believe the approach that Mike Vrabel is going to take is that he is going to attack. He's not going to try to play ball control. He knows that they have the ability to do that with their run game, which they're going to try to establish early on in the first quarter. But they're not going to sit on the ball in drives. I believe Vrabel is going to implement or open up the playbook as it pertains to the passing game with everything that we have. everything that Drake May is comfortable with, we're going to implement. And Diggs or Booty could have a huge game, or Henry for that matter. I think Drake may be on the cusp of having a breakout game. This would be that game for him. We talked about it for Caleb Williams throughout the regular season. We talked about it for Jaden Daniels last year. To me, this game right here is Drake May's breakout game offensively. Now, I hesitate to say that all four of these teams could win the Super Bowl because I don't know how Stidham was going to play. But all four of these teams have the ability, if Stidham plays respectably, to win the Super Bowl. I know we both mentioned on Tuesday night that the NFC team will most likely be favored to win the Super Bowl no matter which team comes out of this game. But I said that they average 28 points for a reason. They average 28 points regularly. This is not something that they struggle to get to. It is just over the course of it. In a game, they just slowly, methodically, or quickly run up the score on you. So they have an advantage. Are they favored by 1 or 2 points? I don't know. Griff, who you got going to the Super Bowl from the AFC and why?
Denver. I think because of the defense and the experience of the coach. I got it. I understand, Drake May and Vrabel, he's been there as a player, but he ain't won the Super Bowl. I just think the recipe that Denver had all season is going to be the recipe that takes them into the Super Bowl. That's my take.
Wow, I thought we were going to be on the opposite side on this one. But even with a backup quarterback, even with an unproven quarterback, Denver has a reliable running game. The New England Patriots' defensive run-stopping ability is not at the top of the list when you think of run stoppers across the league, even though they have a very good defense. Denver can exploit those gaps that they have in that run defense to play some ball control. And that defense is going to be overly aggressive. That defense is going to take chances. That defense is going to apply pressure to Drake May, which is going to eventually lead to a turnover. And a turnover is going to be the difference maker made by the defense, possibly a pick six in how this game turns out. So I have Denver winning as well. A very close game, 23-20-ish. 23-20 will be my final score for this game.
If I can interrupt just for a second. Hey, Jordan, check and see what's going on with Facebook. Hey, I had the Facebook says no signal. So, if I see Troyden already moved over to YouTube, but it says no signal on Facebook.
Troy going with the Patriots.
He going with the Patriots. Troy going with the Patriots.
Yeah, I mean, I understand why. They are clicking right now. They beat a very hot Houston Texans team last weekend, ending their season, even though Houston helped them with the turnovers and whatnot. Still, Houston was one of the hottest teams in the National Football League. So it's going to be a fun game to watch and an interesting game to figure out. But strategy is going to be the difference maker. And like Chris said, coaching will be the difference maker in this game, in my opinion, because Sean Payton has a proven track record of being aggressive just at the right time. So looking forward to that game on Sunday, kicking off at 3:30 on CBS for those of you that want to watch it. The nightcap, the NFC title game, right? Well, we got the Los Angeles Rams and the Seattle Seahawks, two NFC West rivals, two teams that know each other very well. They've already played each other twice this year. They split, won the game in Los Angeles, won by the Los Angeles Rams. The game in Seattle, in the game of the year in the regular season, ended in a Super Bowl. Well, I won't say Super Bowl. A overtime thriller.
Yeah.
Yeah, overtime thriller on a Thursday night where it showed that both of these teams have the ability to win it all. We kind of predicted way back then that we could possibly see these two teams again in the playoffs playing each other, and yet here we are, Griff. Man, what are you looking for from both of these offenses to have each one of these two teams be competitive in the fourth quarter?
So I actually went back and watched the last game they played where they
Go
went.
ahead, timer, Mike.
Say that again.
Talking to Jordan, the
Oh
timer.
yeah. So I actually went and watched the last game where they played against each other and went into overtime, man. But if you look at both games that they played against each other this year, the difference in the games was Sam Darnold and his turnovers. The first game they played, he threw 4 interceptions. The last game they played, he threw 2 interceptions. But he was able to do some stuff on the back end because of the defense. I think if Sam Darnold is able to have a error-free game, the Rams really don't stand a chance, man. Because even in the game that the Rams won, they won a game 21-19, and it was because of 4 interceptions by Sam Darnold. They were still in the game. This defense that the Seattle Seahawks has gotten even better. Now, here's the other flip to that. They in both games they never sacked Stafford. They never sacked. I was going to say Sam, but they never sacked Matthew Stafford in either of those games. Puka Nacua had over 200 yards in the last game.
Remember that?
They played each other. So the key, man, in my notes I had here, keys to this game right here. One, is going to be the secondary play of the Rams, and can they force Sam Darnold to make turnovers like he did in all the other games? Darnold got to be clean, man. And the last game they was able to shut Smith and Jigga down the first half of the game. We didn't even know he was on the team in the first half of that game. We didn't have a Smith and Jigga sighting until the second half after Shaheed got that punt return for a touchdown.
True that.
They got to be able to run the ball. I mean, and that's my theme, Seattle and the Rams, but I think Seattle more than the Rams. Seattle got to be able to run the ball and not put so much of it on Sam Darnold. If they can play ball control, because we've already seen what the Rams offense can do to the Seattle secondary if given the opportunity. Not once, but twice. Puka Nacua had 150 yard plus game on them. And the last time they played, Devontae Adams wasn't even playing. So that just add another layer to the offense. So that's my initial take, Drew. I turn it over to you.
Man, I tell you that very poignant in everything that you said. This game is up to Sam Darnold. Must play mistake-free. I don't know if he must play mistake-free, but he dag show, man, must minimize those mistakes to a minimum. Sam Darnold cannot have multiple turnovers created by Sam Darnold, whether it be an interception, whether it be a fumble, whether it be a sack fumble, tip, pass, whatever the case may be. He cannot have more than one INT. To ensure that his team's offensive flow continues to chug-a-lug along. And relying on Walker in the run game, ensuring that we get Smith and Jigba involved early in the offense is the recipe for success for the Seattle Seahawks. Now, on the offensive side of the ball for the Los Angeles Rams, what ain't broke, we ain't gonna fix. Because Griff already told y'all, Puka Nacua is like at practice playing against the Seattle Seahawks defensive backfield. If you cannot get to Matthew Stafford, his arm is very strong, and he will get the ball to his receivers in the shortest time possible. So the defensive approach that Coach McDonald needs to take against these Los Angeles Rams this weekend has to be different than what he took against the Los Angeles Rams in not only the last game, but in the game before that. Because if we are looking to shut the Los Angeles Rams offense down and hold them to less than 21 points, and oh, by the way, they are the highest scoring team in the National Football League in 2025, averaging almost 30 points a game. So it would be of great success if we are able to hold them to 21 or less. And it starts with applying pressure to Matthew Stafford. We know when Matthew Stafford gets pressure that he does make errant throws. He does rush. His escapability is not as great as it used to be. And we've seen that in the L's that the Rams have taken this year. Now, the Seattle Seahawks defense is the best defenses of all of those teams that the Rams have played. But we know it's all about matchups in the playoffs.
You got the number one scoring offense versus the number one scoring defense playing against each other.
Yeah, and we always say offense wins games, but defense wins championships. But hold on, sir. Hold on. Is this actually going to be the case this weekend? I know we both were leaning towards the Seattle Seahawks on Tuesday, but we are now here Friday night, less than 48 hours away from kickoff. And we've had two games. You said it yourself in your commentary. We've had two games to figure out a way to slow Puka down. We ain't figured out how to slow Puka down. And Devontae is now healthy again. And I haven't even talked about Kyron Williams, which is run option number one. Higbee in the passing game as well. Man, the Los Angeles Rams offense is clicking. Is clicking at the right time of the year. Sean McVay is their one. We talked about coaching in the previous game. It's going to be coaching again in this game. Being aggressive at the right time. Can the Rams go into the 12th man, which is, as according to Griff, the toughest place to play in the National Football League, and they are going to be on one on Sunday evening. So this is a huge task for the Los Angeles Rams. Griff, who you got, man, and why you got this team going to the Super Bowl? And what are you hanging your hat on?
Hey, man, I got Seattle. And again, me going back, watching the game from the other day, as well as taking in consideration the first time that they played each other. Yes, the Rams are somewhat healthy, but their quarterback is not. Their quarterback is dealing with some issues right now as far as his hand. He took a shot to the chest. So he is not that healthy. Yes, he can do some things, but I just think that defense of the Seattle Seahawks is going to be the decision maker in this game, and Sam Darnold would not have all the turnovers that he has had in the past. They're going to get a heavy dose of Kenneth Walker. Again, they're going to have to stop Kenneth Walker. But for me, the best defense, and I know I talked about coaching experience in the last segment, but this defense right here, when you got a defense like Seattle has, it gives you a little edge in the coaching experience area. Yeah. The only reason why, and again, Puka got his yards, man. But the Seattle Seahawks still was in both of those games, even with Puka getting his yards. So and they was in those games with the turnovers provided by Sam Darnold. I just don't see him doing that in this game, and I got Seattle.
I love when you do that, man. The last thing that you say is the exact point that makes me agree with your entire commentary. There's no way in the world that Sam Darnold is going to turn the ball over as much as he did in the previous two games. If he has a turnover, if he is able to play not mistake-free, but turnover-free, the Seattle Seahawks win this game, and they win this game somewhat easily because they are the better team. Their defense is much better than the Rams' defense. It is becoming better. They're looking more and more like the Legion of Doom, just based off of the Legion of Boom, based off of their last month or so in football. And the healthy, not so healthy, hand, chest, shoulder, back, my neck, and my back of Matthew Stafford. You can only go so far with so much. And I believe as good that as the Los Angeles Rams are, again, any one of these teams can win the Super Bowl. Seattle at home with the 12th man are going to be as aggressive as possible on the defensive side. They've taken it personal because a lot of people have properly highlighted that you have not put Matthew Stafford on his gluteus maximus yet this year. What is going on, Seattle? And D-Law said, hold my sports drink. I got this. I'm going to make sure we do it, and we do it early on Sunday evening. And I'm adopting the Seattle Seahawks just for the playoffs because of Rashid Shahir. He is going to be a difference maker. Hey,
He ain't
anything
no saint. He ain't no saint no more. He ain't no saint no more.
it don't matter. Hey, the Seahawks gonna be flying and squawking on Sunday night. They should win this game and meet the Denver Broncos in the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl, February the 8th. Those are our predictions, ladies and gentlemen. Both of us have the matchup between the Seattle Seahawks and the Denver Broncos in Super Bowl 60 on February the 8th in Santa Clara, California. Now, watch it be the Patriots versus the Rams. But either way, you're going to have a phenomenal Super Bowl just based off of how good these teams are. And we'll obviously talk about the Super Bowl next week and heading into Super Bowl weekend. But looking for some phenomenal games this weekend between these four teams. But that's not only the big news of the NFL. 10 teams, Griff, have fired, replaced, relieved, kicked the door, or kicked the coach out of their organization. 10 teams. Some of it we saw coming. A couple of it we didn't. Out of those 10 teams, 5 teams now have already hired their next head coach. We talked about 4 of them on Tuesday night show. Baltimore, Jordan's Baltimore, Karen's Baltimore whenever she shows up, and all of the other Ravens fans and faithful were asking the exact same question when breaking news, quote unquote, came flashing against the screen and said the Baltimore Ravens have selected their 4th head coach in team history, a young man by the name of Jesse Mentor. And everybody's first question was, who in the heck is Jesse Mentor? Obviously, we've done our homework. And still, I'm asking the question, who is Jesse Mentor? Griff, what kind of hire is this? Is he going to be successful the way that Baltimore is currently
I
constructed?
think his success will be determined based off who he selected to be his offensive coordinator. He has a history with the Baltimore Ravens. He comes from Harbaugh's tree. And so my guess is they brought him back there to somewhat have continuity or carry the culture of the Baltimore Ravens. He was a defensive guy under Harbaugh. The problem is that their offense is the one that's been sputtering, and his success will be determined based off who comes in to be his offensive coordinator.
That was also odd for me with his history, right? I understand that he was with the Ravens from 2017 to 2020 under John Harbaugh. Then he went to the University of Michigan, where he was the defensive coordinator for Coach Jim Harbaugh, led Michigan, or was the DC when Michigan won the national championship, and then followed Jim Harbaugh down to San Diego or Los Angeles to be the Chargers defensive coordinator. So he's been in the Harbaugh family and under the Harbaugh umbrella for, the past 8 years. But you're going to fire the Harbaugh to bring a Harbaugh protege in.
I just think they want somebody else to like I said, a new face, a fresh look, but still have somewhat of the culture there. So
Oh, I can rock with that. And you're absolutely right. The decision on as to who the offensive coordinator is going to be is obviously going to be the difference maker as to how much success the offense will and ultimately the team will have next year, and whether or not they're going to be returning back to the playoffs, returning to the AFC North dominance that they believe that they have, especially with the other three teams in influx. This should be a division that they should be winning regularly, at least now, while you have the best two players in the National Football League at their position in their prime, with Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. So the offensive coordinator selectee will be heavily scrutinized, but I wish him, the Baltimore Ravens, Jordan, Karen, everybody else who is a Raven fan, the best of luck in 2026 now. Buffalo, man.
Let me Troy, neither one of us said anything about Mike McDonald. Mike McDonald was already selected by the Chargers in our last show to be their OC, so I don't know where that came from. Troy got that in the comments.
Oh yeah, McDaniel. Yeah. No, yeah, but McDaniel is interviewing. He is interviewing for the Buffalo Bills head coaching job. So him signing with the Chargers is contingent on him not getting a better offer.
Yeah.
Now
they might have a clause. I read that wrong, and they might even have a clause, and they may get, because for him to interview, they have to ask permission to do it. So
yeah,
they know about it.
Yeah, and same with Flores. I'm surprised Flores is still with the Vikings, re-signed as their defensive coordinator, pending a better offer.
He probably don't want to deal
these
with
Buffalo Bills, man.
That Miami job probably left a so taste in his mouth, and even though Minnesota didn't go as far as people thought they should have went this year, he didn't receive no heat. As you can see, he was one of the top candidates for a head coaching job by standing in that defensive coordinator position, which is wild.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, some people don't want to. Some people just like to be the man behind the man.
True that. You actually are able to accomplish more by being the man behind the man.
Facts. Just like, how they say CSM and SGM is same good money. I don't need all the stress.
Money. Yes, sir. But that is philosophy that is multi-layered. But what will be the joke of the year was Brian Flores end up back in Miami. That'd be funny as hell.
Oh man. I would like to see how the ownership explain that.
Did you get your Bills head coaching job interview invitation? Because apparently
evidently Phillip Rivers did. I didn't get one.
They handing them out. Phillip Rivers got a job interview going from high school to the pros. I love
because of his relationship with Josh Allen. I don't know if you've seen the interview with the ownership and why he said that they let McDermott go. After the game, he saw Josh over there with his head down, looking all sad, and the head coach really didn't have nothing for Josh. So I was like, man, if that ain't one of the most lamest, they about to get that Kaepernick. They about to get that. The Bills is about to be in in the pit of doom for a while.
Yes, because it's everybody's fault except for Josh Allen. Really? Is this the second coming of Joshua? No, I think not. Josh Allen, again, until last year, ladies and gentlemen, was Mr. Turnover King himself. Extremely gifted, extremely talented, one of the top 3 physically talented quarterbacks in the National Football League throughout his career. Nobody is doubting that. But laying it at the feet of McDermott because Josh was crying after an emotional loss, that's expected because he loves to play the game. So whether or not he was crying, whether or not he recognized you or said, hey, what's up, Mr. Owner of this team, or was distraught, I say this all the time. It is a results-based business. McDermott had 9 years. They made the playoffs 7 out of those 9 years. They could never get past Patrick Mahomes, whether it was in the AFC title game, whether it was in the divisional round. They had a lot of offensive and team success other than this was supposed to have been their year, especially knowing going into the playoffs that there was no Lamar, there was no Jack. Patrick Mahomes. There was no Joe Burrow on our side in the AFC, which was supposed to be our big competitors. We should have been good enough to beat anybody else in the AFC was the approach I guess the owner took. The cheap shot that he took at Keon Coleman, that is also going to come back to bite him. Like you said, the Kaepernick effect is going to get ready to get at them. Just like they had that success, quote unquote, in the early 90s, going to 4 consecutive Super Bowls. How many Super Bowl titles do they have?
0.
Exactly. And
As
the
far as
misery mafia, Bills Mafia is going to unfortunately
they
continue
just
to
gonna
have.
keep on, they just gonna keep on diving on tables, man. That's all they do.
No.
I
But
I still think at the end of the day, the head coach for this team is going to either be, and I know you don't believe it, Brian Dable or Joe Brady. One of them two, because they got to, based off how the ownership talked about finding somebody that has a good relationship with Josh. Unlike Baltimore, Josh got to say so over who get hired in this job.
well, according to Bashotti, Lamar Jackson was part of the interview process. So
He said they don't get to make the decision though.
you still are part of that interview process and have your input weighed, right? So, and apparently, Mr. Mentor beat out Joe Brady as the close second to becoming the Baltimore Ravens head coach. So, with Joe Brady being sought after by other teams and Baltimore openly saying he was just that close to becoming the Baltimore Ravens head coach, that bolsters his odds as replacing McDermott as the Buffalo Bills head coach. He's proven offensively that he can ensure that the team is good. The question is whether or not organizationally he can control all strings, right? Because that's a lot more detailed where you have less time to be part of the offensive scheme. You have to look at it from a larger place. But okay, I'm starting to wrap my head around Brian Daboll returning back to Baltimore. But again, during Brian Daboll's tenure as the offensive coordinator, Josh Allen was throwing 15 to 20 interceptions a game or a year. Remember that.
Young. He was young. That was the early. That was the young days.
So those will be your top two options. I can understand that. I will go
Based
Brady.
off of the interview with the ownership and how they looking for somebody that that can hug Josh Allen when he's feeling down, they would be the two logical candidates.
Yeah, yeah. So we should hear something rather shortly. Before we move on to the Steelers, Tommy asked about Eric B. Enemy returning back to Kansas City. Perfect fit, depending on how soon Patrick Mahomes can come back. He's obviously going to be able to reinstall some discipline in the building that may or may not have been around here over the past couple of years, depending on the offensive approach that Matt Nagy took as an OC or how much leeway that the Big Red one gave to him. So Eric Bieniemy has a proven track record. I would believe Kansas City will be competitive again in 2026. Again, depending on how soon Patrick Mahomes can return. But they're obviously going to go out and get a legitimate backup quarterback during training camp or during the trading window going into this year. So Andy Reid is going to ensure that team is going to be prepared to be competitive in the AFC West. Good hire, good return. Eventually, Eric Bieniemy will get his opportunity to take over a head coaching position, maybe possibly laying the foundation to take over for Andy Reid after Andy Reid retires, if he retires here in the next couple of years. If the Kansas City Chiefs can get back to their glory days. What you think, Griff?
Hey man, their time has came when even with a healthy Mahomes coming back, Kansas City Chiefs got a lot of plugs. They about to lose some of those people that was there. I don't see how they're gonna be able to keep them. But it is a great opportunity for Eric Bieniemy to come back in there with an organization that he has a true history with, that he won Super Bowls with, and possibly a future head coach of that team. That could be the possible Andy Reid passing the torch to his guy. That's why he probably brought him back there.
During the 20th century, or not the 20th century, but the 21st century, there are several teams that don't go through rebuilding processes. We don't rebuild, we restock in real time. Therefore, there is no drop off when the golden era supposedly ends. We just transition from one phase to the next. Now, yeah, we may have that gap year like New England has had.
New England had
With,
more than a gap year.
well, I mean, but Tom Brady's departure compared to us drafting our future quarterback, the future meaning the next decade plus, we had a few short years, right? Where we were great for 20 years because of Tom Brady and the Bill Belichick marriage. Now, the Mike Rabel and the Drake May marriage on year one is already off to a great start. And as long as we continue to retool, we're going to continue to remain competitive. And this is the same thing for the Kansas City Chiefs. With Eric Enemy coming back, they're going to be able to retool, right? Pick up key free agents, draft well. They'll be good. They'll be good. All right. And Travis Kelsey has not announced his retirement. He's still going to be a good player. If he comes back, going to be slower.
He'll be running around looking like Jason Witten.
You are still attracting attention, and you are your quarterback's security blanket. Never forget that.
Yeah. Hey, let me answer Tommy's quick question right fast. Tommy asks, "Is there any other good coaching position, coaching spots out there?" He didn't say coaches, but coaching spots. And I would say, I guess the next couple of teams, I think the Steelers is probably the last place, that I would probably want to see, status wise. All the other ones it's gonna take a special person to go in there. Because I knew I wouldn't want the Browns job. I wouldn't want the Arizona job. The Raiders job. The only good thing is they got the number one pick. And I just looked at Draft Day the other day. If you have never watched that movie, it's an excellent movie. I'd be trading. That number one pick.
Oh, yeah.
I was the
It's
Raiders.
always overrated, man. Unless you have that generational talent, then your number one pick should always be considered to be traded. But I think every one of these jobs is a desirable job. Cleveland has talent, both on the offense and on the defense. They have one of the top defenses in the National Football League every year.
It's not the offense or the defense for me at Cleveland. It's the ownership. That's the problem.
Yeah. And ownership is definitely part of the equation in the decision making process. So, if since we posed that question again, that the biggest two-letter word in the entire world, if ownership is not a factor and is just let's see how the team is currently constructed and whether or not I can come in on year one and turn this organization around, say like the Patriots did this year, then all of these jobs are desirable. All of them. Right. And we'll talk about each of them, but specifically right now, the Steelers. Who would be the best fit for the Steelers job, man, and why? Are they going to go back to defense or are they going to bring your guy in, Mike McCarthy? Because he and Aaron Rodgers, who has not retired, do have a relationship. I'm just saying.
He is the hometown guy, and we still don't know what's going on with Flores. He was one of the guys we know. He still said he's coming back to Minnesota. Uh, but the names that I got written down on here right now is Chris Shula. That's the Rams defensive coordinator. Clint Kubiak, that's the Seahawks OC, because he's gonna be high after, regardless of what happens this weekend. He's definitely gonna be one of those guys that they're gonna try to get after this season is over. So I think Pittsburgh, based off the Pittsburgh that I'm accustomed to seeing, I think Chris Shula will be that high to get that defense back to the defense of the glory days, and then he just get him a good OC. He get him a good OC to come in there, and they go find their quarterback of the future. Because Aaron Pittsburgh been still dealing with all these old cats here the last couple of years, and never really invested in a young guy other than when they had Pickett, and they look how long they kept him. They got rid of him real quick. So I think Chris Shula might be Chris Shula might be the next head coach. Because
Yeah,
again, Mike McCarthy being the hometown guy, but he don't fit into what Pittsburgh normally get, and that is a young guy that they keep for an extended period of time.
exactly. Exactly. Because the pecking order is defensive minded approach up front. It's either going to be Shula or Brian Flores, in my opinion. Mike McCarthy is just a feel good story. He is the hometown Pittsburgh uh, guy. He is a Super Bowl winning coach. So that would be the 2 to 3 year fix, right? If Pittsburgh is going to look for the coach to replace the coach in the interim, and we find our eventual long term coach 2 to 3 years down the line when we decide to draft a super talented quarterback, then maybe we think offense. But right now, our mind is on defense because our approach for next year at quarterback, nobody knows. Aaron Rodgers doesn't know. The organization doesn't know. The draft stock that's coming out of college is not really something to sneeze at because neither one of these kids that are coming out of college showed you something this year that or was eye popping, no matter what school they attended, what conference they were in. So the approach is going to be we stand on the business that has gotten us 6 Super Bowl titles, and that is defense. I don't know much about Shula other than the success that the Rams have had. His track record, family wise, obviously is goes all the way back to the '60s with Don Shula. But at the same time, here recently, if I was hanging my hat on credibility to be able to manage a aging defensive team, Brian Flores would be my selection. Now, the Cleveland Browns would be an excellent selection for the young Shula or Mike McCarthy, in my opinion. That specific team would be the team that either one of those two coaches, whether you want to be an offensive minded head coach or a defensive minded head coach, that one team is interchangeable in the approach that you take, in my opinion, because the defense, they don't really need a defensive minded head coach to be as good as they have been because they've been doing it with Stefanski for 6 years, and they've been good every year. It is just that the offense was never able to get right. Griff, who would be the perfect coach in your opinion for the Cleveland Browns?
I need somebody like you already said. I need somebody offensive mind to come in there and to take that offense to another level. Um, Again, they not. I really haven't heard people say it, but you know me. I'm old boy, the OC from the Redskins. Cliff Kingsbury for me would be a good. He's already got head coaching experience. I think he would be a good fit with that offense and getting that offense back to play complementary football with that defense. As far as names out there right now, that would be the guy that I go with. But they also got they 15 million over the projected cap as well. So that causes problems with them. And it just again for me, Cleveland,
It's ownership.
it's the ownership, it's the GM, it's just they good for throwing people under the bus, man. That's why that seat ain't been filled yet because they love to blame other people for their faults.
Who is the owner's name? Hackett? Hatcher? Either way, I agree that they should go offensive minded just to nurture those two young quarterbacks that they have in the locker room, both in Sanders and Dylan Gabriel. But hopefully, they have a head coach that they can rely upon to not only take them from this year to next year, but turn the entire organization around, turn the entire belief system around to where if Deshaun Watson is still on the team, is Deshaun Watson our starting quarterback? If Deshaun Watson is no longer on the team, who is the starting quarterback going into training camp, or is it an open training camp where Shadir is going to be able to compete, Dylan Gabriel is going to be able to compete, and whatever other experienced veterans that we decide to bring in to try out, or somebody that we may even pick up in the draft because they do have high draft picks. And Cleveland gonna do what Cleveland do. Even though they don't need to draft a quarterback, that don't mean they're not gonna draft a quarterback because You know, they have a track record of drafting quarterbacks in the first round that don't pan out. But we shall see, man. My two would be McCarthy or Shula for the Cleveland Browns. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the point of the show that we've all been waiting for. Who wants to get free money and stand on the sideline on Sunday afternoons and act like you care? They're giving it away in Las Vegas. Troy, you might as well throw your name in the hat, man. Or
That's when you was gonna ask me that question. Who I think would probably be that next head coach? I was gonna say Troy Parnell would probably be a great fit for the
oh,
Las Vegas Raiders.
yeah, yeah. But in all seriousness, man, who do you think is going to ultimately be that?
Man, again, you got to get back to that how the Raiders used to be. Just whoever it is, it's got to be a defensive minded guy. They wanted Harbaugh. Harbaugh went to the Giants. Uh, maybe a Vance Joseph. Um,
Oh,
I think he'll be a good fit. And I'll be honest, I
we
think
haven't
maybe,
spoken about him at all.
huh?
I said we haven't spoken about Van Joseph
I
at
think
all.
Vance Joseph, man, defensive minded guy. But he could also be he's one of the top picks for probably for Arizona as well. But I would think to get back to Raiders football, I want somebody with a defensive mind. You know how the Raiders used to be back in the day when they had Lester Hayes and
Uh-huh.
Michael Haynes on the other side, and how they
Uh-huh.
used to take Joker's head. That's what they was known for, that defense. Lala, Azedo, and all those guys. I need somebody with a defensive mind to come in there. I'm trading that first round pick to get some, so I can build me a team. If
Right.
it's me, because I mean, as good as Mendoza looked here, still I don't think he's that. I'm not going to waste my first round pick on that dude.
Yeah, well, Troy believes that Mendoza is the savior for the Raider Nation, so we shall see what the Raiders do with their pick.
Let's say
But
Troy also said Vance is trash.
Vance is trash, really. I was going to talk about Vance, but more so in the sense that Denver would not allow their defensive coordinator to go to their most disliked rival, whether they're disliked more by the Raiders or disliked more by the Chiefs. I don't think Sean Payton would want uh, Vance to go right down the street in Vegas and be his primary opponent. So,
Or you can get the newly on the street head coach from the Atlanta Falcons. That's a defensive mind guy too.
yeah, Raheem Morris.
Yeah.
Yeah. I believe Vance Joseph or Raheem Morris will be a excellent hire for the Arizona Cardinals. For the Raiders, Mike McCarthy again. I know you say they should go defense, but
Hey,
other than Crosby, their defense ain't really all that.
you and Troy on the same got the same
You
thing.
have young talent on offense with Genty. You have receivers that are capable. I think the focus should be let's put some points on the board and
Okay.
have a middle of the road type of defense and hopefully get back to some
Troy,
success.
Troy said he wants either Seattle's offensive coordinator or the Rams offensive coordinator. So y'all both online with an offensive minded guy coming in there to that squad.
Yeah, you're right, Troy. Bo John Madden and Mike Flores, who were the head coaches who led the Oakland Raiders at the time to Super Bowl championships, were offensive minded coaches. We think of the Raiders as being defensive minded because of Lester Hayes, because of the tough nose, smash mouth football
They
that
had
they
Marcus
have.
Allen too.
But when they win with offense. The Raiders are not a defensive dominant team. Never have been. Kenny, the Snake Stabler, says otherwise. All right.
Roll Tide, another Alabama great.
Did he go to Alabama?
Yes,
Yeah, I
he
know.
did. Yes, he
Yeah, I
did. Go do
know.
your
Oh, you
research.
don't have to get all defensive, my guy. Yeah,
Yes,
he
he
did.
did.
He did.
Kenny Stabler, Joe Namath.
All
Yes,
right.
we got some of the greats played for the Bears.
Hey, man. The Arizona Cardinals, the forgotten team in the NFC West. Nobody wants to take this job seriously because of the competition that's within your division. You have a mountain to climb, even though again, perfect opportunity because there is talent on the team, more so on the defense, and potential on the offense. Griff, we don't know who the quarterback is going to be. Kyler Murray has a whole lot of dead money tied to his contract, so you can't just say, "Hey, we're gonna kick the boot." You're basically in the same boat that the Cleveland Browns are with the Deshaun Watson contract. So, who would be a good coach, not approach, a good coach to come in and turn this organization around, regardless of whether or not we're defensive minded focused or we're offensive minded focused? Who would be the right voice in the office to say, "All right, team, huddle up. We them dogs now. We are going to compete for our division title."
Well, like you said, Denver wouldn't let Vance Joseph go to the Raiders because that's they arch enemy. This he has a history with the Cardinals as well. I would love to see Mike McCarthy would probably be a good fit to come here and fix this program as well with his pedigree as a head coach. So them would be two names, man. They have a lot of young talent there with Harrison, with McBride. Connor, hopefully he come back from his injury and be able to run the ball a whole lot better. But I think those two names will probably be names we probably be seeing win that Cardinal.
Yeah. We've gone over the most probable list with Raheem Morris, Mike McCarthy, Brian Flores, Shula, or names that we have not named yet. And either one of those names that we've already talked about will probably be able to have some success with this team. Is there a coach who is currently coaching at the college ranks who could make that leap, in your opinion, in year one? First of
Mario
all,
Cristobal, Dan Lannon. Dan Lannon will be a guy that I would probably bring. So if you're looking for an offensive minded guy, uh,
I could understand that.
Lane
Maybe
Kiffin.
I could understand that, but neither one of those two schools are going to allow their head coach to depart. So the money is just too great at both of those schools to
Right
let
now,
those.
hey, the cold is hot. Mario Cristobal with his taking his team to a national championship. I wouldn't be surprised if his name come up as one of these coaches that they looking at. Again, they come from the Nick Saban tree. Nick Saban then showed them, hey, stay in college. That's where it's at. You don't want to get caught up in this. You don't have no say so. You don't have a say so in the NFL like you have in college. So, but if you're talking about coaches, Mario Cristobal, I even like the coach at Vandy. I think he can go to one of these programs and turn it around.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And before I get to the college coaches, Troy, you're absolutely right. Sean McDermott, we forgot about him.
Oh man, I forgot.
He would be a good fit for a whole lot of the teams that we talked about now
Right.
that he's looking for a job. And Mike Tomlin, obviously, but we all think Mike Tomlin going to take a year off at a minimum. Now, for the college coaches, I have a Troy. I must apologize beforehand, but as any good trial lawyer would tell you, since the opposing side, whether you're on the defense or you're on the prosecution side, and the opposing side introduces a particular topic or subject, you are free to then pursue that same topic in your line of questioning. I say that to say this, Griff, why didn't Alabama go after Coach Signetti 2 years ago when Nick Saban retired? Because he was looking for a job just in the same time that Coach DeBoer was. What was he even part of the consideration process, or he had already?
I'm gonna keep it real with you. He was under Coach Saban's coaching tree, but I don't think they had that great of a relationship. If you look at all of Coach Saban's previous coaches that was underneath him, he had a lot to say about many of those guys. He really didn't do that much talking about Signetti until Signetti got and went deeper into the playoff area. But I think their relationship was somewhat fractured when he left Alabama. So I mean, so
No
that could be my only reason because I mean, again, that could be the only reason. But then again, he didn't pick nobody from his tree to come there and replace him either, though. So
True that. Okay. I just want to throw that question out there because that was on my mind. Yeah, and I forgot about Tomlin being under contract for the next 2 years, so he's not going to coach. You'd have to give up draft picks, just like Denver did with the Saints when Sean Payton moved on. Now, we've talked about the games. We've talked about the head
Hey,
coach.
Troy said they didn't Google him.
They didn't Google him. They did not Google him at their own peril because I know the Alabama faithful.
Oh man.
All about Bama, all about the tie.
We don't
They've
give
asked
a piss
that
about
question.
nothing but the tide.
Nothing but the tie. They've asked that question themselves over the past month. Why didn't we go after that guy a couple of years ago? How did we end up with this guy? I'm just saying. Uh, we've talked about the games. We've talked about the coaching positions, and we've reached that point of the season where we're approaching NFL honors for individual success. The MVP candidates finalist list was released this week. We see the faces on the screen. You have 4 quarterbacks here and 1 running back to kind of just show a little bit of diversity. Or was it whether or not Christian McCaffrey not only earned his right onto this list, but is the actual MVP? Griff, who is your top 5, or not top 5, your top 3 MVP list, and then we'll break it down to which out of those top 3 should be
So
the MVP.
if we're gonna go down to the top 3, it's gonna be the 3 at the bottom of this picture. And that'll be
Really?
Drake May, McCaffrey, and Stafford. Josh Allen, yes, he did. He carried his team, and hey, that's how he got it last year. When I talked about him getting that MVP, it was because of what he did with his squad. But he don't get that. He don't get that this time like he did last year. Trevor Lawrence, go ahead. Your fingers up.
Yeah, just real quick. He had less this year than he did last year.
Facts.
So why are we changing the criteria? Why are we moving the goalpost, so to speak? When
I'm
that's
not
the
moving the
reason,
goalpost.
justification for last year's award, but we're not going to get that same grace this year for the most protected quarterback in NFL history as it pertains to media coverage because everybody covers him like they have Teflon gloves on. He does no wrong. It's always everybody else's fault. 9 years is 9 years. Josh Allen is almost 30 years old.
He got that benefit of the doubt last year. Nobody want to hear that this year. And plus, with the firing of his coach, that just added to for me. For me, when I look at MVP, those 3 at the bottom did much more than what Josh Allen did with his squad. The one in the middle, if I really had to give the MVP, if it was me, CMC would be that guy because of how much he really, like I said with Josh Allen last year, CMC was the 49ers this year. On the offensive side of the ball, he was probably the top receiver, the running back. He was everything that team had. And so Stafford, I would love to see Stafford get this MVP because he's the elder statesman, because of the offensive year that he didn't had. But believe it or not, Drake May might mess around because of his numbers and how he played this year. Be the guy that they select.
Well, Drake May's argument to be the NFL MVP in the second year of his career is a good argument, but it is not the best argument because he is not the best at his position. He does not have the best numbers at his position. His team does not average as the best scoring average as a team. The guy in the category that you just identified has better numbers, so it's not Drake May. It comes down to Matthew Stafford and Christian McCaffrey for me as well. Matthew Stafford getting it or being named the NFL MVP for 2025 as a participation historical lifetime achievement award. Nah, bro, that's not how we do things. Or maybe that is how we do things in the National Football League. But you are absolutely correct. The NFL MVP is Christian McCaffrey. He is 80+% of that offense. And until week 18, they could have been the number 1 overall seed in the NFC against a dominant Seattle team. a multi-talented Los Angeles Rams team with a probable NFL MVP leading them. So it should be McCaffrey. I agree with you that it
But
should
they
be.
ain't giving it to no running back though, man.
But
It's
it's not
gonna
going to
be
look
tough.
like it. That is why he is in the offensive player of the year category as well. To give him a consolation award for not winning the real award that he should win. Not saying that Matthew Stafford does not deserve it. Of course he deserves it. Not saying that Drake May doesn't deserve it. Of course he deserves to be considered. Not saying that Josh Allen, even though he did less with or did more with less this year than he did last year, he deserves the consideration as well because the turnovers, not as much, but more than last year. And the turnaround for Trevor Lawrence from last year to this year, just as phenomenal as Drake May, with both teams having a first year head coach, which both head coaches we will talk about next week should be considered for coach of the year, should be one of the three top coaches for coach of the year. But this is an award that Christian McCaffrey has earned on the field, both in the run game and in the pass game. And he has been, again, 75 to 80% of the offense for that team and got them to the divisional round of the playoffs, losing to a team that was much better. CMC, my NFL MVP, your NFL MVP, but it's probably going to go to Matthew Stafford now.
Yeah.
Defensive player of the year, man, to me. Now, this is just my opinion. I'll go ahead and begin this one. I think this is Myles Garrett's award for 2025 because of the phenomenal year he's had on a team that until week 16 had 3 dubs and couldn't decide on what a quarterback looked like for the offense, but yet he was setting records and with the double teams, the triple teams, led a defense that was a top 10 defense. Now, each one of these defensive players have had phenomenal years for their respective teams, but this is Myles Garrett's award for me. What do you think?
I agree. I mean, with a close second would be Will Anderson. Will Anderson Jr. would be the close second. You know, I ain't taking nothing away from Aiden Hutchinson or Michael Parsons or anything like that. But for me, those was the two most dominant defensive players in the league this year at their positions. Myles Garrett would get it because he set the NFL record for sacks this year. So, I mean, for him not to get it, with him setting that record, it'll be a disservice.
Right, that's like setting the NFL rushing record and then not winning the NFL MVP in the same year as a running back. But yes, this is Myles Garrett's award to lose because of the rushing or the sack totals. But the impact that he has had in each and every game and each and every play. And the same goes for Will Anderson Jr. That team success was because of Anderson Jr., was because of Hunter, was because of that defense. That defense led the Houston Texans to the divisional round as well. Michael Parsons, we know he's one of the top 3 defensive players in the National Football League. And requires
him getting hurt, man. That AC that took him out of it. I mean, there was a whole bunch of games that was out. I mean, his defense played better with him, but with him being out, all those games on the back end, I mean, it just took him out.
Yeah, now both for Aiden Hutchinson and Nick Bonino, individual success as compared to team success, right? Bonino being on the Seattle recreation of the Legion of Boom and being the leader of that team, even with D-Loss sitting by his side, tells you how dominant of a year he has had. And that has translated to get the Seattle Seahawks on the cusp of the Super Bowl, which we both picked them to be. And he is going to be an integral part of that defensive success. But again, this is a regular season award, not what you do in the playoffs, even though it does kind of matter what you do in the playoffs, depending on if I'm a voter that waits to the very last second to submit my vote like Griff would be, he says. Because if I'm Michael Parsons, tearing my ACL in week 15, you just gonna wipe me out because I don't play the last two games? When
Unfortunately, the people that they give these things to be voting, that's what they do.
I know. So it should be no surprise if and when Myles Garrett wins this award. Congratulations to him and each one of these defensive players on the individual and collective success that they've had for themselves, their teams, their families, their stats, their pockets, all of that good stuff. Looking forward to a great 2026. Now, Offensive Player of the Year, we mentioned it a little earlier, man, with Chris McCaffrey being both in the MVP category and the Offensive Player of the Year, but so is Drake May being in the MVP category and the Offensive Player of the Year. That kind of gives them a advantage over Puka, an advantage over Bijan Robinson in the voting, and over Jackson Smith and Nigma, who has had the best year of all receivers in the National Football League. Is it May or CMC for you, or is it just CMC for you? Winning both categories.
It's just CMC, like you said earlier, man, because Stafford will get the MVP because he's a quarterback. This is the consolation prize. Puka is awesome. I like me some Puka Nakua, man. But again, his votes that he probably would have got, some of them probably even went to Stafford as well.
Yeah.
Bijan is a great guy, but he still is not CMC, not right now. He was definitely the majority of his team's offense, but they sputtered a lot too.
All right.
Smith and Jigga, man, is the top receiver in the league. He had the most receiving yards this year. Him and Puka, I mean, they was close, but he ended up edging Puka out by a few yards, man. But Offensive Player of the Year has to be CMC, man. He was an all-purpose yard guy.
Yeah. Tommy asked if CMC had missed some games. I'm not sure if CMC has missed any games in 2026. If he missed any in 2025, it may have been one or two because this was his healthiest year. And because of his health status, especially in the latter half of the year, that's what kept the San Francisco 49ers competitive because Purdy was out for half the year, remember? Mac Jones was the backup who was filling in and led the San Francisco 49ers on that undefeated run. So CMC should win both of these awards, but he is going to win the Offensive Player of the Year. And both of these awards, the MVP and the Offensive Player of the Year, for me, is tied to not only individual success, the stats, the numbers, number of touchdowns or number of interceptions if you're a quarterback, but also how well your team did this year, whether or not you made the playoffs. Bijan, great year. Your team didn't even make the playoffs in the NFC South, bro. You shouldn't even be on this list. I'm just saying. Puka, I understand because Puka is that dog in the yard that says, I want all the smoke. He could have the argument to say, well, Stafford got the numbers that he got because of me. I should be the Offensive Player of the Year if he wanted to present an argument or if I was presenting an argument for him. But yeah, and Jackson, Smith, and Jigba, we've talked about the Seattle Seahawks and what they've done. He's been the guy for them. Oh, and by the way, as Griff mentioned, the guy across the entire National Football League. So all four of those have a legitimate argument, but it's going to be CMC. Because of the snub that we are both predicting, because Griff has seen the script.
It bothers me because quarterbacks get so much credit, man, but they don't get the numbers they get if these players don't catch the ball. If these kids, you know what I'm saying? And that's the thing they get me. Like CMC, the reason why CMC is the guy on the receiving end of it. He is the one that's helping. Not only is he helping his numbers, he helping the quarterback numbers.
Exactly.
Matthew Stafford only go as far as Devontae Adams and Puka take it. You know what I'm saying?
And Higby and Kyron Williams, because we know Stafford is not accumulating any running stats. But hey, I cannot wait to see this hunt. Well, I won't actually sit there and watch the honors, but I want to see the result.
I got other shows to watch, man.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I might be there, and like you said, we'll talk about this next week just to see who the comeback player of the year is.
Yeah. That's a topic that I say or we say specifically for Super Bowl week because we got some interesting nominees for comeback player of the year. Why they comeback player of the year when their teams did not have any success, I don't know. But hey, somebody had to get nominated. All right, Griff, phenomenal show. We got anything in the chat that we did not address from any of our aspiring commentators or commentators?
We just had our two faithful. We had Tommy and Troy because Facebook said that we had some copyright infringement going on or whatever. But it's all good.
I don't
I
care,
just
bro.
want to say, hey, thank you for Tommy and Troy for hanging around and chatting up with me and Drew. We appreciate y'all. And hey, man, y'all be safe out there. Troy, I don't know what that weather looking like, going to look like in San Antonio, but I know here in Houston we might get a little freeze by Sunday morning. Tommy, I know you in Virginia, man, so be safe up there. You close to Drew, and I know y'all. You know, I was stationed at Fort Lee twice, and so I know what that weather can be like there. So stay in the house, man, and make sure you got a whole bunch of peanut butter jelly and some ramen noodles.
He said peanut butter and jelly. I do not like peanut butter and jelly, bro. I'm
Hey,
one of the
when the power
few.
go out, you got to have something that you can eat, baby.
I know. I'm just saying that's. I'm one of the few people that does not like peanut butter and jelly, and I cannot stand ketchup. I much rather eat mayonnaise with my
I
fries.
like mayonnaise, man. I put mayonnaise
Me
on my
too.
French
See?
fries all
Okay, we
the
know
time.
that all.
I don't like ketchup either. I'm a mayonnaise guy.
Yeah, you and me both, man. Phenomenal show. We got some two good games this weekend. As Griff mentioned, is going to be a very long, very chilly, very hard, cold weather weekend. If there is a necessity for you to get on the road, please be careful. Put in some additional uh, time into your travel clock so that you can slow down, be considerate of others, and make sure that you do recognize those conditions and you're not invincible and take the proper precautions and make it back home to your final destination as safe as possible. Y'all stay safe, stay warm, and if given the opportunity, like we always say, please do something nice to somebody that you may not even know because it is most definitely going to impact their lives on that day in a positive way. We shall see y'all back here on Tuesday night to recap these two games and talk about the Super Bowl. Y'all have a blessed weekend. Y'all stay safe, stay blessed. Y'all be praising.
Early this morning, when you knocked upon my door, early this morning, when you knocked upon my door, and I say, hello, Satan. I believe it is time to go. Me and the devil walking side by side. Me and the devil walking side by side. And I'm gonna throw
Smith and Jigba.
till I get satisfied.
Throws caught for the 2 points. Eric Sauber.
You don't see why, and you dog me around. Say, don't see why people dog me at all.